And let's bring in Congressman Mike Turner of Ohio, who serves on the House Armed Services Committee. It's good to see you this morning, Congressman. Before we turn to Venezuela, I want to ask you about the attack in Syria, an ISIS attack killing 2 soldiers and an American interpreter. The president says he's going to retaliate. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, certainly our heart goes out to those who have lost loved ones. So, as you know, the United States has roughly around 2,000 soldiers in Syria, and an important mission to continue the fight to completely defeat ISIS. President Trump, having had the president of Syria in the White House, getting his support for continuing that effort for the first time, Syria joining with others to continue that fight to defeat ISIS. This is an important mission. We're there training to ensure that the stabilization of the area, both Iraq and Syria, that it's completed. This is a mission that the White House is committed to and will certainly continue.
Okay, Congressman, let's turn back to Venezuela if we can. Your reaction to the administration seizing that oil tanker and the fact they say that 6 more have now been sanctioned.
Well, Martha, as you were saying, the seizing of the skipper was done by the Coast Guard, and this is being done consistent with valid legal processes. And this is all part of going against what is this murky, illicit shadow system of oil ships that's being utilized both by Venezuela, Iran, and others that supports Russian, Iranian, really terrorist organizations and groups to avoid the sanction systems. Hezbollah, ISIS, others have used this system. China benefits, Cuba benefits, others benefit. This illicit system that allows both money and oil to move has been subject to sanctions, and it's been very difficult unless they are subject to the seizure processes pursuant to a sanction system. This ship has been.
What do you think President Trump's goal is? This is clearly a major escalation.
Well, this is an ability to utilize the U.S. sanction system to make certain that they're subject to those sanctions. And as the White House said, this is really to make them subject to what is the system that's been used all around the world. It certainly puts additional pressure upon Venezuela, upon Maduro, but also upon all of these systems. This sends shockwaves around the world to all of these groups that are using these illegal systems to move money, to move oil. This is a very important move to bring these systems under U.S. sanctions and under really the Western sanction system.
So Congressman, we've got this enormous economic pressure now. We've got military pressure, 15,000 U.S. forces in the region. So what do you think the president is going to do next? You've heard what he says he's going to do next, that he's going to hit the land. He's going to hit what he called horrible people. He might even go beyond that. Are you comfortable with that? What do you think will happen?
Well, the president has not been clear, and he's not certainly been communicating with Congress. And I think he has been certainly escalating both the rhetoric and certainly the presence in the area, putting pressure on the Maduro, regime. And as Senator Warner has said, certainly Maduro is a bad guy, and through the last administration, this has been left over to this administration. Both the people in Venezuela, have been subject to. Really the criminal nature of that regime. This is, I think, an appropriate focus for the administration. I think that the administration, though, does need to make the case, as Senator Warner was even saying, to Congress. I think the administration, though, is being, slow to tell Congress because they don't want to tell everybody what they're doing. They don't want to show their hands as they're increasing this pressure. I think taking the skipper certainly shows the economic pressure, as you were just describing. That gives, I think, Maduro the pause to see that the administration's not stopping, both as they have this military presence, but also economic pressure that's going to put this regime certainly in a very compromised position.
And Congressman, do you believe the videotape of that second strike should be released to the public?
Well, I have not seen it yet. We're going to be seeing it next week. I do believe that Congress has done, very significant oversight. The Joint Chief, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, both met with the leadership of the House and the Senate The Intelligence Committee, the Armed Services Committee, all received briefings, both from Admiral Bradley and the chairman, and the Secretary of Defense has spoken to them. They've all seen the video. Now the full Armed Services Committee is going to be seeing the video. You've just heard the chairman of the Intelligence Committee say that he himself has not concluded that it was an illegal act. And we all know that the Washington Post article has proven not to be accurate. So I think this oversight investigation is going to proceed, and as such, we're going to certainly get to the bottom of both what occurred, what acts did occur, and as that investigation goes forward, Congress will have more information to be able to understand what occurred and how do we proceed next.
And Congressman, quickly if you can, we just have about 20 seconds, but these strikes and this war on drugs comes as the president pardoned the former president of Honduras, serving a 45-year sentence for his involvement in one of the largest and most violent drug trafficking conspiracies. Your reaction to that? What message are Americans supposed to take from that?
Well, there is very grave concern in Congress about these strikes in general, and you just hit exactly why, because of the contrast. These individuals are not being subject to criminal prosecution, and if they were subject to criminal prosecution,
but I want you to
no
comment on the
Right.
pardon.
Well, on the pardon itself, here's an individual who was subject to criminal prosecution and then released. These individuals, even if they were subject to criminal prosecution, there's no capital punishment for drug trafficking. These individuals, because they're being subject to military actions, are being put to death. They can't be subject later to another administration.
Should the former president
pardoned.
of Honduras been released?
I certainly have very serious concerns about his pardon, but I do think what is important here is the contrast that you're making, and that is that these individuals do not have an ability later to be subject to another administration reviewing their issues and being subject to a pardon.
Okay, thanks so much for joining us this morning, Congressman. Appreciate it.